What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, hopefully you've had a chance to actually see Thor Love and Thunder. If you haven't, huge spoiler warning, we're going to be covering the two post-credit scenes today in full. Details, light spoilers for the film, you guys get it. So if you haven't already seen the film, we ain't mad at you. Come back and see us after you've seen it. If you have, we're going to break down both those post-credit scenes, especially the first one, who that major cameo was, what actor's playing him, and what it means for the future of the MCU and the Avengers in Marvel Phase 5. We're breaking it down, everything, the Thor 2 post-credit scenes. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. Everything from official Easter eggs, breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider scoop or video like we're covering today, and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below that will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so the very first post-credit scene actually sees us back in Omnipotent City, and if you thought Zeus was killed by Thor and co. when earlier in the film they took his thunderbolt, you would be wrong. That was kind of the whole point of the film. Zeus and the rest of the gods in the Pantheon in the city are all immortal. The Necrosword is one of the few weapons, yep, Zeus' thunderbolt not being one of them, that can actually kill them. That's why it was supposed to be so scary. So Zeus, he's alive and well, and he says this: God, it used to mean something. People would whisper your name before sharing their deepest hopes and dreams. They begged you for mercy without even knowing if you were actually listening, and that's when he cuts a small laugh. Now that's ironic because that's almost the exact same hubris displayed by the god at the beginning of the film when Gore was kneeling, praying, and wishing for his god, lost everything. It's very clear that his god could have heard him, but just obviously didn't care. Now the same pride displayed by Zeus, who liked being a god behind the scenes, who didn't have to be accountable. Now it's quite the opposite with superheroes in the universe. The people end up idolizing them instead of the gods, and then one of those superheroes rolls up in your house and steals your favorite toy. He goes on to say, now they look at the sky, they don't ask for lightning, they don't ask for rain. They just want to see one of their so-called superheroes. When did we become the joke? No more. They will fear us again when Thor Odinson falls from the sky. Do you understand, Hercules? Do you understand, my son? The camera then pans over to Brett Goldstein, who probably is best known for his supporting actor role, which he won an Emmy for on Ted Lasso. He is playing Hercules, and he responds, yes, my father. And this is very clear setup for what's to come now in Marvel Phase 5, Thor 5, and even Avengers 5. Now, before we dive into exactly what that's setting up in the MCU, because I think it's pretty clear eventually Hercules is going to join the Avengers, and there's a couple of stops along the way. The second post-credit scene shows none other than Jane Forster, who did in fact sacrifice herself by turning into the mighty Thor one more time to go assist Thor in defeating Gore the God Butcher, shows up in Valhalla, which to meet her, Himedell refers to it as afterlife for the gods, meaning that she's basically ascended to that point. There's a very weird editing where she looks a little confused to be there in the first place, and while maybe I think it's meant to just break in the way that she's surprised she made it to an afterlife, someone of science like her now becoming a god and getting to live in Valhalla, surprised to see Himedell, but the way they cut it sort of makes it seem like she's not okay with being there and that she wants to go back. And I also made mention as I was leaving the theater what a shame it was to have finally Natalie Portman back in the MCU as Jane Forster, an awesome extra Thor, and a Thor that would have had storylines going forward in the comics, maybe even a romance with Sam Wilson Falcon, now immediately removed for the very first movie she comes back from. And I wondered if the editing in that post-credit scene, just a little speculation here, wasn't meant to imply that maybe, just maybe, Jane Foster's story isn't completely done, that she could somehow make it back. Yes, it would lessen her sacrifice in some way, but look, she's not Tony Stark, and again, she just made it back. We don't have a decade long of her. So I'm not sure if that's just me reading into the editing there, but if you were wondering why she was in Valhalla, that's obviously the Norse afterlife, the belief in their mythology, and for gods can ascend to that place. Well, she's there now. We'll have to see if she comes back. On the flip side of that coin, Hercules has just been introduced, and it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here in his pursuit of Thor Odinson. Even though Thor very clearly did not go back to New Asgard, that's exactly where he's going to head, and then in some way, even after he'll face off against a couple of the Avengers, as they often do in comic book films and past Avengers films, he'll end up joining them and becoming a teammate alongside of them in the next Avengers incantation. Whenever we see that, eventually this lineup's going to include the likes of Captain America, Sam Wilson, Shang-Chi, Hercules. We'll have to see what other characters end up on that team, whether it's Moon Knight, any of the characters from the past like Doctor Strange or Wanda, but there are a ton of new characters coming in the MCU. Hercules is going to be a mainstay. Now, I saw some old school comic heads basically point to Thor's new invented persona as he's moved from the Kenneth Branagh productions of the film towards Taika Waititi, that this sort of affable, self-deprecating, a little bit aloof character sort of read to them how Hercules might have in the original comics, that he basically stole his shtick. I never really read Hercules that way. Granted, he wasn't one of my favorite characters, but I think there is still plenty of room for him to have that same sensibility, but share the screen with Thor and make it amazing. I also think it's very clear that eventually Hercules becomes the stand-in for Thor in the Avengers, being their resident god superhero. And yes, while he's going to hunt them in the first place, it won't be long before he ends up switching sides and fighting on the sides of the Avengers, no matter what that ends up being. And it probably, to me, would be before Secret Wars. Now, ironically, Secret Wars, if it should use King the Conqueror as the main big bad instead of Doctor Doom, was one of the first places Hercules showed up in the comics. He showed up as a minion of Immortus, but it was later turned out and revealed to be just an imposter of the actual Hercules who showed up in the first Thor, when actually in the comics Odin's son was being punished. Thor was being punished by Odin for being in love with a mortal. That was Jane Forster. Obviously, they had to change the storyline a little bit for what was going on in the Mighty Thor here. But guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. First of all, about Brett Goldstein playing Hercules, and if you're psyched now he's in the MCU, did you recognize the actor? My theater at the red carpet premiere definitely did. They went nuts, and I'm super stoked for that character in the MCU. And who do you got going into the next Avengers compilation when finally they end up facing off against King, Doom, whoever the next big bad is? Who do you think is going to make that Avengers 5 team? We have a ton of heroes already. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's jump into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Okay, we're still giving away PlayStation 5s. Every 20,000 subscribers, all the way up to 1 million. The next milestone is 980, which we are headlong into, almost halfway there, and could easily hit by month's end. So if you want to be entered to win, or for any of the other future giveaways here at the channel, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name AllFires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking that out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.